My name is Cole Jackson. I am from the podcast called The STEM Society, and this is my review of the Greatest Hits. I love that title. Before I get into my review, let me set the record straight to keep my integrity. I am friends with 8. He is a good friend of mine. I met him when I was living in London. And I just want to make sure people understand that we are friends. He did send this album to me early so I could sit with it to be able to get more of a feel for it before I did the review. But I also want people to know that no matter if someone's my friend or if they're not my friend, the integrity of who I am and how I review albums will always be there. Fair for me to be able to put that out there before anything else, because I don't want other people who listen to this to think that I'm playing favorites. Can't do that, because if I do, that's going to take away from my credibility as a person who podcasts and who's a hip hop commentator. It's going to take away the credibility of me being a reviewer. So I just want to put it out there that we are friends, we're cool, and he understands that I'm going to review this just like I review anything else. So with that being said, The Greatest Hits has 13 tracks. It is 41 minutes long. Coming into this album, I was expecting traditional UK rap. Currently in the space, grime is super popular, but I know that's not the lane that 8's in. And right now, UK drill is making this comeback. That's not a lane either. So it's the traditional rap side of things that I knew was going to hit me. What I got was an album that puts a conflict in anybody who listens to it. You have commercialism, you're looking at spirituality, you're looking at being emotionally mature. You're also looking at somebody who's like trying to make it day by day as a creative. All of those things are in this album, and I was shocked to be able to get so many different types of ways to deliver that message. 8 decided to give me a compilation of music that just spans throughout what UK music is currently. That is actually a plus in my eyes, because typically the typical artist is going to give you just straight up rap or whatever the case may be. He decided to give me great features, nice production, and variety. And I couldn't ask for anything better than that. So before I get too deep into the review, let's go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off right now. The album falls apart towards the end, which disappointed me a lot, because there's a set tone to everything that's going on here. But to me, if the album was sequenced a little bit better, the final 3 songs just makes everything feel a bit rushed or a bit put together oddly. Everything else before that feels like they flow into each other really well. I know it felt like he was trying to end on a good note, but the attempt to end on a good note just fell flat to me. That was really the biggest issue I had with this album. Let's talk about the production side of things. The album sounds very clean. It's warm. There are times where it does get gritty here and there, which is cool, because nobody wants to hear the same old thing throughout the whole album. I like the fact that you get variety in the production, and I enjoy the fact that you get different types of songs. You get R&B type of vibes. You get UK rap type of vibes. You even get like some rage rock, in which The Fear of Death is a standout song to me, because it's so different and it feels like I want to just go outside and tear some things up. But I enjoy the fact that he threw curveballs into this album like that. The production is very consistent. It's not repetitive at all. I don't know if the sound matches the artist, if that makes sense. I don't know if 8 has a signature sound when it comes to the production side or how an album should sound. Because I've listened to some of his music before, and it has sounded like one thing, and then another album will sound like something else. So I don't really know what his signature sound is, and I don't know if that's a negative or a positive. Most artists at this point in their career has some type of signature, and I think that's something that 8 needs to establish. Like, what is his signature sound? Some people may say We Alive could be the way that sounds, but other people might think that Electricity might be his signature sound. Those are 2 very different types of songs, but they both could fit him. So It's very confusing to know what type of signature sound he has, but the production does sound very evolved, and you're always on your toes. You're always thinking about what can he put in on this album next. So the production side is very solid. So when we lean into the lyrical side or the performance side of things, two major themes from this album that I keep getting is commercialism or the love of money and the spirituality side of things. You know, there's times on this album where you feel the conflict of just like, shit, man, why don't I just act like I'm rich all the time and just make people feel like I got a bag and empty myself out spiritually and emotionally? But then there's the other side of this album where it's just like, nah, honestly, bro, like if I stay the course or if I stay spiritual, if I talk to God consistently, you know, it'll come. It don't come as fast as you want it to, but it'll come. That conflict is going on throughout this whole album. Whenever you can feel something like that, that means the artist is doing something good or doing something right. This whole album, I just was like, damn, that's me. I'm sitting up here faking it till I make it. I don't really have all of this stuff that people think I have, but they keep thinking it, and I'm gonna keep going with it. But on the other end of that, I'm a very religious person. I'm a believer. I pray all the time, and sometimes I pray for the wrong things. So I can see how you can emotionally get caught up in this album. One thing that I do find that can be a problem on this album is sometimes 8 can go to a place that's in outer space and it goes over my head sometimes. And that's not always bad because there's other listeners out there that probably can catch what he's saying. But sometimes 8 just is out there and it's wild. And it's just like, I have to feel like I have to reel him back in. But when he does lock in and when he goes for a certain theme, especially when it's something that's spiritual, I feel it. I completely feel it. I think Prayer Hands is one of those great examples. I love Prayer Hands, one of my favorite songs on here. The fact that somebody can feel lonely with all of the people in your life that surround you with love and happiness, but you still don't understand where that's coming from. I've been there before and I know how that feels. And Prayer Hands is just one of those songs that call out to me a whole lot. But sometimes you want to be excessive, which when you think about Father is another song on here that just makes me think, yes, I want hella racks. I want Benzes. I want Range Rovers. God, give it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are times when I do feel that way too. It's just like, Father God, why can't you just get me out of this situation and just give me all the money in the world so I can just control wherever I go? And I feel like that some days. Not saying it's right or wrong, but it's relatable to me because as a creative, and sometimes you see other people out here getting it, you just like, why not me? That's a real plus for me because we get those two types of raps in here. Let's talk about the cohesion in this album. Now, I don't know if there's a specific story that he's trying to tell me. It doesn't feel like an album per se because I look at albums as a book. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and everything connects to each other and it fuses into a story. Even though there's a lot of the same themes with a lot of the songs, the sequencing and sometimes the songs don't flow in and out to each other very well. When I get to the end of the album, it falls flat because it doesn't have the type of cohesion that I'm looking for when I look at an album like this. I know 8 has made albums that tell a full story before. If I had a little bit more context on if this is a compilation album or if this is an album that he's telling the story for, maybe I would be a whole lot more clear on what it's doing, but I can only review it from what I got. And from what I got, it really feels more like a just collection of songs and it's just there. That is one of the negatives I have about this album. It's just not cohesive enough for me. Now, this album does have some standouts. My favorite song on this album, and it's going to probably surprise a lot of people, The Fear of Death with Freddie Forbidden, Summer J, and is that, sorry if I butcher your name, Aolana. Sorry if I butchered it, but in my head, not my heart. Freddie Forbidden is one of those features where when you hear him, you're just like, this dude's different, and I love that. When you've had a rough day, sometimes you just want to go outside and throw shit around. And Fear of Death does that from the very beginning when it comes on up until the very end of the song. Another big moment on this album is Prayer Hands. Prayer Hands is my second favorite song on here also. I love the things about faith. I love the things about how you can still feel lonely sometimes. Prayer Hands is a great song. Those are just two of the major standout moments for me. One of the moments on here that's not really a standout moment, it just didn't fit for me, was Nightstand. And when you listen to the song, it's very R&B vibe. Angelo's on there, PTE's on there. But the twist and what that song is talking about didn't really sit with me, man. Like I knew what it was about. I just didn't like it. You have to listen to the song because I don't want to ruin it for you guys. But maybe the song was like a joke. I don't know. I just didn't like the way it went. I didn't like the direction it was going in, and it just didn't work for me at all. That was probably like my least favorite moment on this album. Would I sit through this whole album in one sitting though? Nah, I can't listen to this album straight through. I would really have to pull songs that I enjoy out and put them to the side and make my own playlist. And that's just, that's the reality of it. I think if the album was a little bit more cohesive, I could sit through it more. But I would just much rather say, give me these songs and y'all can have the rest. That doesn't mean the album doesn't have longevity. People who are into different types of styles or variety when it comes to albums like this will enjoy it. And they could probably shuffle it and sequence it the way they want to. Me, I'm American. I'm lazy. I don't want to reshuffle your album or resequence it. I want it to be done for me so I can say, this is what I like and this is how I like it. So it does have replay value. I just feel like it's for people who want a collection of songs and not necessarily a full album experience. Let's pull back the lens a little bit and look at the bigger picture. I've known 8 as a creative director for a very long time, and he's been making music longer than he's known me. That's a big plus for me, which means that if he's willing to be able to create something like this now, given the time and given the right materials and given the right people around him, shout out to New 3, he could be able to make something on a grander scale. And that's what we're looking for when it comes to creatives these days, especially when it comes to the music side of things. Right now in the UK, if you're Black and British, you should be creating and making something your own. In some sense, and maybe everybody might not feel the same way, it's a bit of a renaissance because at this point, we've seen that Black British music is making money over there. Too bad that they don't have enough Black Brits in power when it comes to the industry. But that's another conversation for another time. Hopefully, this is something that's going to elevate his work from what he's done in the past and make him more motivated, if anything else. So it's just one of those things where I think it's going to move him forward. I don't think he's going to be stuck in place as long as he doesn't fly too close to the sun and burn his wings, if you know what I mean. Right now, he's on a good trajectory, and I think he can do an amazing job given the right situation. Which leads me to my final verdict. The Greatest Hits has a lot of wonderful songs on here. I love the conflict. I love the themes of materialism. I love the themes of spirituality and the emotional side of it. Those are wonderful themes to have on an album like this. I love the production also. It doesn't sound repetitive. You actually get a lot of adventure and excitement when it comes to listening to this album. But it's not very cohesive and it's not sequenced very well. And it does fall a little bit flat towards the end of the album. That shouldn't take you out of the experience totally. But for some people, it just might feel like it went out on a fizzle. So with all that being said, I'm going to give this album a 7. I just love the themes of a lot of the music on here. And I really enjoy the fact that we have so many different artists working with 8 and the fact that he was able to construct something like this to be able to put out to the masses. I think we should give him a lot more credit as a creative director and as an artist. He's doing a pretty good job, and I hope he elevates from here. So what do you think? Is this a 7 or is it bigger than that? Do you think this album is completely cohesive? Whatever you've heard on this review, if you want to question it, you can hit me up on Instagram at ColeJackson_BYNK. thank you guys for joining me for another review, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care of yourself. I love you. Peace out.